Hey, ladies and gentlemen, my name's Chris, and I'm back. Today, we're going to talk about my 300ZX twin turbo, what upgrades we got coming, and what upgrades I've already done. It's you and The original upgrade is when I did my twin turbo swap. The donor car I had bought had some upgrades done on it that I transferred over to my car. It came with bigger upgraded brakes and an upgraded adjustable suspension. The bigger brakes required bigger rims, so I ditched the OEM ones and put on the 350Z rims. The motor came with upgraded turbos to the 550 Sport turbos and 550 injectors, which only had about 1,000 miles on them. Also, when I did the twin turbo swap, I changed out the clutch to one that could handle the horsepower I was going to put out. I had the plenum painted in black and the balance tube painted in white to match the scheme I was going with. I had the NA bumper cut from my original Z to have the cutouts and then put a Stillen bottom lip on it. Unfortunately, it got ripped off later when a deer decided to have its way with the front fascia. After the deer incident, I found a water leak that flooded my passenger side floorboard. I located the issue and fixed it, although I had to pull off my front fender to get to the drain tube. Unfortunately, the water ruined the carpet in the Z and it needed to be replaced, so I ripped out the interior. When the interior was out, I decided to complete a few projects out on my list. One was go back to the OEM radio and figure out why the antenna wasn't working. I found a good used OEM radio online for pretty cheap. I removed the aftermarket radio and hooked up the OEM one. I found out that the aftermarket radio was hooked up wrong and the antenna wasn't even plugged in. I hooked it back in and boom, it worked. I ripped out the aftermarket wiring that was run throughout the car as well. While the radio bezel was out, I also replaced a broken clock with a working one, and now that one's working like new. Next on my list was to pull out my gauge cluster, open it up, and put in the new titanium gauge rings. While that was out, I changed out the dash lights to the new LED lights that I had ordered. The next project was to change out the OEM taillights and put in the 1999 JDM taillights. The adhesive sure was messy, but they ended up turning out great. Also, I changed out the OEM rear hatch struts with the Z1 upgraded hatch struts. Now that the interior all was out of it, it was time to put down the Dynamat on the floors. It went in pretty easy and I put 2 layers down. I would definitely recommend wearing gloves when you do it because it tore my hands apart. A small roller would also be a good tool to have for it. It would make it a lot easier to roll it out. It did take 2 boxes of it to lay down the 2 layers throughout the entire floor of the Z. The next step was to get the Z down to Z1 Motorsports in Georgia to get it running right and to get some major upgrades done to it. I loaded up the Z onto the trailer and started the 581-mile trek down south. The next morning, I dropped it off and the waiting game started. The list was a long one for Z1. The first project was to put on the new GTX 2867R Gen 2 turbos. With the bigger turbos, I decided to upgrade the injectors to 740s with a new EEPROM chip. Next on the list was to install the dual intake. The problem was, with all this new expected power, the clutch I had just put on was not going to handle it. I upgraded to the Z1 6-puck Performance Street clutch and flywheel combo kit. The intercoolers were the next upgrade, which I kept the side mounts, but I went with the Z1's biggest ones, along with a 2.5-inch piping kit, which I did in black to keep with my color scheme. The exhaust manifolds were changed out for the AMS Max Flow ones, and then I went with some HKS blow-off valves. Now it was time to upgrade my exhaust as well. I went with the Z1 3-inch PG exhaust, even though I think it's going to be rated R. Then it's time for them to put on the new 99 JDM front fascia. Then finally get it on the dyno and tune it. Then it'll be time to bring her home. Once she is home, the list is far from over. I want to do a keyless entry system and have yet to decide which one I want to go with. If you have any suggestions for one, please comment below. I bought an entire leather kit from Interior Innovations, and it looks great. All the tweed is finally going to be gone out of the car. Even the steering wheel is going to be leather, which is all going to be installed in February by a local upholstery shop. There are also some dress-up items that are going to be coming to the Z during the year. Then we'll be taking care of the body. She has some dents and dings, and they're going to be fixed, and then she's going to be painted hopefully early in 2020. She is going to stay glacier white except for the roof, which is going to be all black. I'm going to add the JDM clear fender turn signals and an OEM replica rear spoiler, and possibly even a twins rear diffuser. Then should be close to finished. If anybody has any suggestions on upgrades, please do comment below. And feel free to subscribe to follow the Z and see some videos of her tearing up some rubber on the road and even the track.